Assalamualaikum dan selamat pagi kepada semua. So, untuk minggu ini, kita akan masuk chapter 3 iaitu Badan Legislatif ataupun kita kata The Legislature. So, what does it mean by legislature body? It is the first government body. So dekat Malaysia kita panggil dia parlimen lah. So kalau dekat US dia dikenali sebagai Congress. So it is a body that responsible for make laws and also make policy and also amendment of law. So it occupies a superior place. And the executive and judicial bodies cannot function until the legislature has functioned. Therefore, the legislature body has a unique characteristics. So, what are the characteristics of legislative body? The first one is that legislature are official government agency, and they are also a multi-member sebab dia ada ramai individu lah yang duduk dalam legislative body. Number 3, they are directly elected by the citizen. So in Malaysia, our legislative body is our member of parliament. Next, their members are formally equal and they arrive at decision by deliberating on alternative. Maksudnya decision has been made through discussion and also voting. And last but not least, they register decision by counting the votes of their members. So moving on, kita nak tengok forms of legislature. So the forms of legislature depends on the way how they are organised or the manner of the organisation of the legislature body itself. So when there is only one legislative assembly, the system of organisation is called as unicameral. When the legislature is organised into two houses, so it is called the bicameral system. Therefore, the forms of legislature ada dua. Satu unicameral and satu bicameral. So, kita akan go through one by one. So, one chamber ataupun kita kata unicameral system. Forms of legislature yang pertama lah. So, this system exists when there is only one house ataupun one chamber in the legislative body. So, maksudnya dalam badan legislatif tu hanya ada satu chamber ataupun satu rumah lah. So, for example, countries that practicing ataupun using this unicameral system is such as Norway, Bangladesh, New Zealand, Finland and also Denmark. So this is the legislature office in New Zealand and this is the legislature office in Denmark. So what are the advantage of practicing or using unicameral legislative system ni? So the first one in terms of decision making process is speedy lah. Maksudnya membuat decision making process tu sangatlah laju. Number 2, allows clarity of responsibility of the cabinet in parliamentary system of the government. Next, can reduce duplication and also confusion relating to legislature. Number 4, reduce conflict between upper and also lower house. Therefore, it will increase the quality of the legislator sebab tak ada conflict. Next, number 5, less expensive atau kita kata less cost and fastest decision making process. Number 6, can avoid obstruction of the will of the people. Number 7, popular elected by the people. And last but not least, this house maintain the uniformity in the country. So these are the advantages of practicing or using unicameral system. Therefore, dia ada juga dia punya disadvantages dia. Number 1, it could not persist for long because the bicameral system is widely adopted. Therefore, kita katakan dekat sini unicameral ni is no longer being used since most of the countries in the world using bicameral system lah sebab dia nak tengok check and balance sebab two head is better than one. So next, it may cause difficulties to make decision when the members of house do not keep in harmony. Meaning that tidak sekepala ataupun tidak bersependapat lah with the popular opinion. Number 3, absence of highly intelligent discussion and also criticism. Sebab tak ada check and balance. Sebab dia hanya ada satu chamber sahaja, satu house sahaja yang akan discuss on the bill, implement the bill and also amend the bill. Number 4, there is no balancing of authority because all lawmakers were concentrated at a single centre. And according to James Bryce, dia kata there is a tendency of assembly to become hateful, tyrannical and also corrupt. Needs to be checked upon it. So these are the advantages for the unicameral system. So kita nak tengok bicameral system ataupun kita kata dengan two chamber. So, the bicameral system exists when the legislature is organised into two houses or chambers. So, dia ada lower house and also upper house. So, dalam Malaysia, kita pakai bicameral system. So, for example, upper house tu contohnya macam kita Dewan Negara lah. So, dia ada Dewan Negara for Malaysia, Council of States, Council of States for United States of America. And then you ada House of Lords, Senate, Raja Sabah and etc. So for lower house, kita ada Dewan Rakyat for Malaysia, House of Commons, this for UK, House of Representative, this is for United States of America, House of People, Lok Sabah, etc. So for example, the countries that practicing bicameral system such as Malaysia, Canada, India, United States of America and also Great Britain. So these are the United Kingdom punya parliament. And this is the parliament in India. Sangat cantik kan? So what are the advantages of practicing this bicameral system? The first one, it provides check and balance lah. Ataupun check on hasty and ill-considered legislature. Number 2, can avoid the concentration of powers. So, it can avoid despotism of a single chamber. Number 3, to make sure a better decision-making process. Check by more experienced body. So, for example, like kita ada upper houses kan, kita ada Dewan Negara. Number 4, provides a convenient means of giving representations to different classes and also interests. Number 5, to assure representation of minorities and for professionals and vocational interests. And last but not least, reflects the popular will. So these are the advantages of bicameral system. So for the disadvantages, the first one, the second chamber as a clumsy addition, which prevents or delays the necessary and urgent decisions. Number 2, regard second chamber as destructive of national solidarity, creating deadlocks and frictions between the different sections and also interests of people. Number 3, can cause duplication of works, leads to delay in actions, and last but not least, it's a very costly system ataupun expensive system. So for bicameral systems ni, kalau dalam exam keluar, you boleh explain based on Malaysia punya perspektif lah. Sebab kita pakai bicameral system. So next subtopic, kita akan tengok bagaimana lawmaking process and also constitutional amendments being done in Malaysia. So, they are process of passing legislation and changing the constitutional provisions by the legislative members or kita panggil dia legislator lah. So, there are 4 necessary steps must be taken for the process. The first one is determine the acts or policies that need to be enacted in the bill with prior advice from the Attorney General Office. Itu adalah step yang pertama. Step yang kedua adalah the acts or the policies must be presented to the ministers. Step number 3, notice need to be given to the House of Representative ataupun kita kata Dewan Rakyat and also the Senate iaitu Dewan Negara. And last but not least, the last step is the bill is printed and distributed accordingly. So, government proposal, meeting between the relevant government's authorities, drafting a bill by parliament, draft persons, cabinet approval of bill. So these are the flow of the procedure for the enactment of an act of parliament. So dia akan mulakan dengan bacaan pertama, first reading. Selepas itu akan berlakunya bacaan kedua, second reading. And then kita akan stop dekat pembincangan komiti, proceed dengan third reading, then bawa kepada Dewan Negara, then naik ke Royal Assent, and last sekali publish ataupun kita kata publication lah. So, the first reading, when a bill is introduced, only its title is actually read. Rupanya waktu kat first reading ni, dia punya tajuk je yang dibaca. So, after the bill is passed at this stage, then the text is being printed and distributed. For second reading pula, member debate the bill. Dekat sini tadi nombor 1, you baca title. Nombor 2, you dah start debate dah about the bill that has been passed at the first stage tadi. So, if accepted, it is passed on for consideration by the committee of the House. So, moving on, kita nak tengok next stage. Stage yang ketiga iaitu a committee of House ataupun kita kata committee tadi. The discussion stage. So, considers the bill in detail and may amend any part of it. So, the committee then submits a report on the bill to the House. So, if the report is approved, then the bill goes on the third reading in the House. So, itulah next step, the third reading. So, third reading, debates takes place and amendments may be put to the vote. Then, the House either passes or defeats the bill. So, dekat third reading ni lah berlakunya orang kata apa, cabut undi lah, undi setuju ataupun undi tidak setuju. So, other house, when a bill has passed one house, so it is sent to other house. So, untuk dalam Malaysia, kita bill tadi akan dihantar ke Dewan Negara, where it follows a similar pattern. So, if there is amendment to the bill, must be returned to the first house for approval. And then number 6, Royal Assent. When the bill has passed both house, so bila dekat Dewan Rakyat pun dah lulus, dekat Dewan Negara pun dah diluluskan, so it is sent to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong for the Royal Assent. So the bill become a law upon publication. And last but not least, the law ataupun the bill tu will be published and act comes into force, akan dikuatkuasakan serta merta. Moving on, for the next subtopic, kita akan tengok differences between the Senate and also House of Representative untuk 3 negara ini. First of all, kita akan tengok Malaysia, then kita akan tengok Great Britain, and last but not least, kita akan tengok United States of America. So, this is our Dewan Negara dan juga Dewan Rakyat. So, kita akan tengok Dewan Negara lah dekat kolom sebelah kiri tu. So, the Dewan Negara ataupun kita panggil the Senate consists of 70 members ataupun members ni dikenali sebagai senator. So, 26 members elected by the State Legislative Assembly to represent 13 states. So, each state represented by 2 members. Meanwhile, for the 44 members being appointed by Yang di-Pertuan Agong on the advice of the Prime Minister. So, 44 senator ni adalah termasuk dua senator daripada wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur dan setiap satu daripada wilayah Putrajaya dan juga wilayah Labuan. Dan kita akan tengok Dewan Rakyat. Dalam Dewan Rakyat kita ada 222 ahli parlimen. So, these elected members is accordingly to the state allotted constituency. So, biasanya untuk Dewan Negara, Dewan Rakyat ni kita dah pernah cover dalam PAD 102, dalam PAD 120. So, kita recall balik dalam PAD 240. So, kita akan tengok orang kata apa, qualifications for Dewan Negara ataupun Senator and also Dewan Rakyat. So, the qualities for the Dewan Rakyat ataupun Senator, persons that have rendered distinguished public service or have achieved distinction in profession, for example, interest or racial representative. Meanwhile, for Dewan Rakyat, they won in election, general or by election. So, a general election is held every 5 years. Yang PRU tu lah. So, to elect members of the Dewan Rakyat. So, parties with the most votes can form a government to rule the country. So, itu kita kata dengan kelayakan, qualifications ataupun kita katakan requirement lah untuk jadi Dewan, ahli Dewan Rakyat. So, had umur bagi senator not less than 30 years old, must be a Malaysian citizen, must be sound mind, waras, not be an undischarged bankruptcy, and not have a criminal record. So, these are according to Article 48 in the Federal Constitution. So, meanwhile, for the Dewan Rakyat, the age must not less than 21 years old. So for this subtopic, you may refer to the SPR punya website lah. So dekat SPR dia ada ceritakan tentang requirement untuk menjadi Dewan ahli Dewan Rakyat dan juga ahli Dewan Negara. So, tadi kita dah tengok Malaysia, sekarang kita nak tengok British government. So, British government pun dia pakai Bicameral System. So, dia ada House of Lords and dia ada House of Commons. So, House of Lords ni macam Dewan Negara lah. Meanwhile, House of Commons ni adalah Dewan Rakyat dekat Great Britain. So, kita akan tengok House of Lords dulu. So, it consists of hereditary peers and 90% of the total membership of the House. In the course of time, custom became a right and a seat in the House of Lords, descended from father to the eldest son. So, dia more kepada ikut keturunan lah. So, meanwhile, for the 10% is non-hereditary and includes the Lord Spiritual, the Law Lords, peers and women peers, princes of the royal blood. So, itu kita katakan dengan dia punya Dewan Rakyat, Dewan Negara. Pardon. Kita nak tengok House of Commons ataupun Lower House. So, the development of Lower House has coincided with the development of popular representation uniform in their basic structures. So, ini adalah Dewan Rakyat mereka lah. So, they are almost universally elected by a direct vote of the people who reside in the different territorial constituencies. So, House of Commons is elected for 5 years subjected to dissolution and the term of office. So, dia House of Commons ataupun Lower House in the Great Britain sama macam Dewan Rakyat dekat Malaysia. So, kita nak tengok untuk United States of America pula, Senate ataupun dia punya Dewan Negara, House of Representative dia, Dewan Rakyat lah, sama macam kita. So, kita akan tengok dulu untuk Senate dekat United States of America. So, it is fixed by the Constitution. So, there are 100 members. So, for setiap satu state ada 2 senator. So, the senatorship for 6 years, but 1/3 of them expired every 2 years. So, this senator is being elected by the people. So, what are the qualifications for senator in United States of America? Senators must not hold any civil office during senatorship or vice versa. So, for the age at least 30 years old and be 9 years as a citizen of United States of America. So, itu adalah senator dia. So, kita nak tengok dia punya House of Representative. So, there are 435 elected members. So, Constitution merely stating that satu representative to every 30,000 and each state should have at least one representative. Sebab dia besar tau. US ni kita katakan dia agak besar. Therefore, they need at least one representative for every 30,000 and each state should have at least satu representative. So, the term for the representative is 2 years and it is elected by the people. So, what are the qualifications? So, the representative not restricted to be a resident of a district, resting solely upon custom, and for the age must be at least 25 years old and been 7 years as a citizen of United States of America.